So I'm here with an old friend, Tim. It's been a long time.
Yes, it is.
We're talking like 15 plus.
Easily 15.
Did we meet in 4th grade? That's my
Yeah, it was
recollection.
4th grade. 'Cause I remember
Charter school?
Yeah, it was a shitty charter school in town. They said it was for smart kids, and it turned out to be for all the trash.
Yeah, it was.
It turned into a dumping ground for all the problem kids.
I went there once. Well,
Yeah.
1 year.
You went there 1 year. I went there
year.
2, and I finally
Yeah.
got my parents to get me out of there. I had to fake having the runs for like a month and a half before the nurse and Mrs. Bulldog finally said to my mom, like, get him out of here.
Yeah, so this is like a reunion for us.
Yes, it is. Good time.
The first time in that long, huh? It's been a long time.
Long
Grow up
time.
and people change,
Remember
and
the
then
East Side Soccer days.
yeah, wow, you're bringing it back.
Yeah.
You're bringing it
These are
back.
memories that are coming back just as we're talking, and it's like, wow.
Wow.
Oh, man.
Yeah, wow, that was a long time. And it's interesting we meet under these circumstances too.
Yeah.
Like I started this nonprofit, some things happened in my life, and then some things happened in your life, and now we're back.
And here we are.
It interests me the people I've interviewed so far, discussed with, just because everyone's from different backgrounds, but they all are affected by the same thing, and people don't talk about it. So it's interesting when I started something like this, people just like out of the woodworks, like you. I was just like, holy crap! Like,
Yeah.
people just messaging me like, dude, this happened to me, and
Yeah.
I was like, wow.
And like most cultures, they just like to sweep it under the rug.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen and say, hey, it happened. It's water over the dam, but it affects you for your whole life.
Yeah,
Whether
for
you
sure.
want it to or not.
Yeah. So the first thing I go through when I'm doing this is just to ask, like, what's your experience with suicide, if any? And I mean, like, if you personally, a friend, or even like I always bring up Chester Bennington from Lincoln Park, if that affected you, because things like that, seeing celebrities on TV affects people in certain ways too. And how has it affected your life? So what's your experience with suicide, and up to this point, how has it affected your life? And if you have a story, or
All right.
I leave it open for you to talk openly on whatever you would like to.
Okay, well, my story goes back a good ways, actually, because when I was 18 years old, I was retroactively diagnosed with childhood schizophrenia.
Okay.
And it's
That's
a
a rough
start.
one.
Yes,
That's a
it was
rough
not pleasant. I started when I was about 11 years old. My first suicide attempt at the behest of a man only I could see came when I was 13 years old. I tried to hang myself, and I didn't know why. It was my dog. It was the old dog Maisie. You probably don't remember, but Maisie was the one. I had her before it all started, and after it, she became like the perfect service dog because she knew all the symptoms. She would
Right.
find me when I tried to do it. And from the age of 13 on to 21, there were a lot. There was maybe 17 attempts that most of them I don't remember, and
Yeah.
involved hospitalization sometimes. But the big one, the number one that sticks out in my mind that affected my life the most was when I was 25, and I had just had a baby.
So we're
I had
talking
a
like
baby.
2 years ago.
2
Are we
years
the same
ago.
exact age? Yeah, we're probably pretty close, 27.
We were right around the same. We're right around the same age. I think
Yeah.
you're a little older.
February.
Yeah, you're 2
21.
months old.
Okay.
Yep. So I was 25. I just had a baby. I was living with, I was with my ex at the time, and our life had fallen apart. We were not meant for each other. It was very clear to everybody around us, and we tried to stick it out. She was pregnant. We thought we did the wrong thing. We did what everybody says not to do, and that's to stick together for the kid. When everybody knows that doesn't work. But we were blinded by it. We thought we have to deal with this. We have to figure this out. The stress of it all, she fell apart. I fell apart even worse because stress and schizophrenia do not mix. There was a period where I missed my medications, my injections. I get a Abilify once a month. And I missed it a couple times because I got so stressed out I would miss the appointment. I'd hide it from everybody. And they're already in. That's the first mistake. I miss the thing that keeps me sane. That helps keep me sane anyways. And I tried to compensate in other ways. And all I did, I turned into a monster. The demons came out. The monsters that I see became me. And it was one of the most painful experiences of my life because it was like being inside myself, seeing myself do horrible things, bad things, shitty things, and just going, the little kid inside me was watching all this and being like, why are you doing this? Why can't you stop? And I couldn't do anything to stop it. And then finally one day it all broke. All the clouds went away and I looked at myself in the mirror and said, I can't do this anymore. I can't be this anymore. So I went into our kitchen, I took down a bottle of Motrin, and I downed that whole bottle in about a half an hour. Texted my fiance at the time. Long message. It said it was rambling. It didn't make any sense. I've read it over a million times since it happened. I was like, it was a cry for help, very obvious, but it was almost too little, too late. And half an hour later, she called my family. They showed up at my apartment. Police showed up. The ambulance showed up. And I had a whole bottle of Motrin in me. They took me up to the hospital. I remember the ambulance ride so well. The guys asked me, "How you doing? Are you okay? How do you feel? Do you feel ill?" I guess my body is some kind of a tank because I took down a whole bottle of Motrin and it didn't have any. The nurses were looking at me at the hospital all night, monitoring my heart rate, my liver, and all that. It did nothing. I took 130 pills of Motrin and it did nothing to my body. It was freaky, but at the same time, I look at that as a sign from fucking somebody, anybody, whoever, whatever, or just the universe in general saying it's not your time. But I got hospitalized for that for a week and a half afterwards. And that was the most miserable time of my life because I'm sitting there, my little girl's at home, I can't see her, and that was the one thing that drove me that entire week, that week and a half, to not do something stupid that would keep me in there longer. It was just, I wanted to get out and see my little girl. And I'm in there thinking to myself, why did you do this? Why would you possibly consider something like this? I understand it got bad, but it would have been better to just look at my fiance and be like, all right, we got to split up. We can't do this. We're tearing ourselves apart. But I couldn't. I don't know why. It was like a block was in my mind that I couldn't do it. But nonetheless, the whole time I was in the hospital, all I'm thinking to myself is, I almost took myself away from my little girl before she even had time to have a memory of me. She wouldn't have known who I was. I would have been nothing to her. She would have just known her daddy as somebody from a story. And when I got out of the hospital, the one thing I said to myself, I will never do this again. Not when there's that little girl who's going to grow up to love me, who I'm going to love for the rest of my days. I can't do it. And I looked at the world, I looked at the outside world, stepping out of the hospital, looked at my dad, my old man, who's now in his mid-60s, and I said to him the first time I've ever said this, I looked at my dad, asked for a cigarette, and said, "Dad, I need help." I've never said those words before in my life because pride was one of the biggest things that affected me. Being too proud to ask for help, being too proud to get down on my knees and just say, I can't do this. It's too heavy. It's too much weight. And that was my major experience with suicide, was that one time. Because all the others before it, those were all times where it was a man only I could see told me to do it. This time it was me, and that made it different. This was me saying I wanted to do myself in. I wanted to make myself go away. That hit me. That hit me hard, to think that I had the capability to want to take myself out of this world.
It's interesting you come from that perspective of asking for help. Because I haven't talked to someone yet who personally went through it, really. Everyone I've talked to thus far had friends or so on and so forth. It's difficult asking for help. Saying those words is very hard.
You gotta swallow your pride. You gotta look at people and say, the weight on my shoulders, it's too much. I can't handle this right now. But at the same time, you want to look strong. You want to appear like your back is straight, like you got your shit together, like you know what you're doing. When on the inside, you're just a boiling mess.
Do you think like our society or like our culture and the opinions surrounding suicide make it difficult for us to go out and say I need help?
Very much so. When someone says to somebody else they're suicidal, they just go, "Don't worry about it. It'll get better." And sometimes people don't realize. It takes a lot more than saying that to make it get better. This world is a crushing place. It will tear you down. It will beat you down. Everything from the little thing, from bills to school to car payments, to just getting out of bed in the morning and seeing the news and seeing how shitty the world around us is. It's terrible. But in this culture, in this country, we look at people with mental health issues as almost like second-class citizens. I mean, hell, I lost a job a couple of years ago because my boss found out I was schizophrenic, and he literally told me in these words, "I don't want a crazy person working for me." And I'm like,
wow.
It hit me real hard. It was a friend of my father's. I still haven't even told my dad yet that this man said that, but at the same time, it opened my eyes to the fact that as much progress as we've made in treating people, giving them the help they need. So much of the general populace just looks at us as like it's something dirty. Like when they talk to us, they need to wash their hands after they're done. And that hurts. It hurts. It hurts a lot. But you try to soldier through it without help, it can be devastating.
Yeah.
The effects it has.
Yeah, I personally, my whole issue started probably at like 17. That's when it started largely. Like I realized that I had some issues, diagnosed with depression and anxiety disorder, social anxiety disorder, from a therapist I was seeing at that time, and they immediately threw me on medication. Immediately, it was just boom, medication.
There's a lot of shrinks who are like that. They'll just go like, all right, you're sick. Here's a bunch of pills. Take them. Come back to me in 6 months. See how you're doing.
Yeah, so I was on those pills for probably a couple of years, and I had dropped out of school because my social anxiety was so bad. I was going to Cicero, CNS.
Oh, CNS. All right.
I transferred from Nottingham to CNS.
Really? Okay.
And my social anxiety from just going there was so bad. I just could not. Like it's a big difference in schools. Like people watching aren't gonna understand, but I went to an inner city school, and then I got pulled out and went to
suburban
in the suburbs.
Yeah.
Like I mean, all my inner city, all those people that I knew, that I grew up with since I was in first grade, kindergarten. You know what I mean? Gone.
Oh my God.
Not the same people, and I was out with like
this whole different. It's like a whole different culture.
May I say yuppies?
Yeah.
Like you know what I mean? Like
I know a lot of people from CNS, and they fit that bill very well.
So that's kind of what happened, and it all just came crashing down at that moment.
Yeah.
And I got through on pills, and I just dropped out of school, homeschooled for the rest of 10th grade, started 11th grade, never finished. And I was on the pills for a couple years until I moved to Arizona, which is when eventually I was like sleeping for like 16 hours a day on this medication. And I didn't feel like myself, like I just felt, I could function, but because I wasn't able to be in touch with my emotions, I guess. You know, I just couldn't even do anything, so I stopped myself. One day I was just like, I'm done. And I stopped right there. Just straight up cold turkey, so I got sick. And with that, I was always like straight edge. I had never drank, never smoked. But with that, I was like, I'm stopping caffeine. I don't take medication, so no allergy, no cold, none of that, nothing, no caffeine. And I've been that way for 8 years now, since that day. And I saw many therapists, because that was when I quit. I was probably 20, so that was 8 years ago, almost. And I've seen therapists since then, and every single one of them just did not work. Some of them made me angry. I argued with some of them. I didn't get along. And then just this past year, after my third attempt, because there was one the past 3 years, pretty much once a year. And after the third attempt this past year, that was when it was like, I'm going to be dead if I don't do something. At this point, that's what's gonna happen. It's just like realistically, like it's horrible to say. It's bad. Well, culture, makes it look bad for us to sit here and say that, but that was reality, and I deal with truths and realities, and I was gonna die. I was prepared to. So I saw a therapist, and she was good. I've suggested friends to her now, and it wasn't. She couldn't give medication, which is what I wanted. I didn't want someone who I was gonna go in and be like medication. You know what I mean? Yeah. So we tried cognitive behavioral therapy, which I knew what it was because I started to look into philosophy a little bit and Stoicism. And I was like, oh, this came from Stoicism. So we tried that, and I wasn't confident at all. I was like, there's no way. I've seen so many therapists. I've seen really good people with like master's degrees, doctorates, like, really good people. And I just couldn't. And this woman, she's just like I forget her title, but it's a social worker. She's not like a...
It's not like a clinical therapist.
Yeah, no, she's just a social worker that helps with children and like divorce. And I was like, oh, whatever, let's try it. And cognitive behavioral therapy went through it, and even it bothers me sometimes to say that it works. You know what I mean? Because it's like I didn't think I was going to be helped.
It should work, but it didn't. How does that happen?
Just by changing my mind, my perception, and outlook on things. Like, don't get me wrong, and I tell everyone this: depression never goes away. Suicidal thoughts, it's never going to go away. No, it's lifetime. Once it starts, it's lifetime. Mm-hmm. And people like us, we find a way to get up in the morning and just fight through it. Yep. It's just a battle every day. Like sometimes it's harder than other days. Yeah. But it helped me, and I have an outlook. But I do have days where it's like, I don't know if I can finish out the day.
I don't know if I want to do this for sure. Yeah. I know what that's like, especially with school. I got kicked out when I was 18. I got expelled.
Wow. For what, if you don't mind me asking?
Oh, it's a great story.
Here we go.
10 pounds of fireworks in the middle of Corcoran's lunchroom.
Did you really?
Oh, yeah.
Why?
Because in my crazed mind, I'm like, all right, nobody's done a senior prank yet. I gotta start this year off with a bang.
Man.
So senior year, right after winter break, I came in with black cats, Roman candles, had a cherry bomb mortar, all
man.
under this big overcoat. A couple of my buddies set up a line in front of me. I started tying them together to set them off. Cherry bomb mortar was a dud, but everything else went off. Stampede was glorious. It was hysterical. I made the foolish mistake because I thought I could stick around, hang it out, make it through the rest of the school day, see how it played out. They caught me like 20 minutes later. They pulled me out of chemistry class. Principal comes in, school cop comes in, said, "You, come on, out." They arrested me, charged me with reckless endangerment.
Oh my God.
Third, legal possession of fireworks, expelled, banned from all city school property. There it was, done.
And Corcoran's not a great school.
No, it's not.
It's not a
We
great
had the
school.
metal detectors, we had the dogs.
Like-
we had all that fun stuff.
I
but-
didn't want to hop on this talk and talk about how we have bad schools here in Syracuse, but I mean
we do. Oh my God! But I mean, like even with school, with what I had going on in my head, things had already gotten worse by that point in time. Because when I started 7th grade, my grades were perfect until halfway into the year.
You were a good student. We were both good
I always
students.
was.
Yeah.
You remember me back in the day? I was always doing my homework. I always
Mhm.
turned it in on the right time. I always
Mhm.
had hundreds on the test. Halfway into 7th grade, I was a D student
Wow.
at best, because this suddenly went crazy.
Mhm.
And I use that term jokingly and seriously because, I mean, it's a mental illness and it's one of the least understood ones. They don't know what it comes from. The least amount of money out of any disease in the world is put into schizophrenia.
Mhm.
It's kind of laughable. Almost the World Health Organization puts out a study every couple of years, shows how much things get divided up by research. Cancer, diabetes, heart disease are up there at the top. Schizophrenia is down there with like a combined 5 million worldwide
Right.
put into the research. But they make little advances here and there at a school in, I think it's Cambridge in Britain, and a school somewhere in Germany. They do a lot of work with schizophrenics, and they do good work. But it's a very hard to treat disease because they don't know much about it. They don't know if it's genetic, environmental, they don't know. But once you got it, you got it. It doesn't go away. It might remiss, and the symptoms will go down to a bare minimum. But it'll always be there, even if it's just in the back of your mind.
Right.
It could come screaming back at any time. And throughout high school, it was unchecked, no treatment. Because I didn't get treated until I was 18 years old. So I didn't even know what was going on. I just knew something was wrong with my life because I was seeing shit, I was hearing shit. Things would be coming out of the walls in the middle of my classroom. So I'd be the kid sitting in the back with my head on the desk like this because I didn't want to look at the class around me.
And sometimes it's difficult, like getting that when you were young, because you might not think anything's wrong too for a long period of time.
That's the thing.
You know
I
what
thought
I
it
mean?
was my reality. I'm
Right.
like, is this normal for everybody?
Mhm.
Is everybody like this? Why does nobody seem to notice the thing crawling down out of the ceiling in the
Yeah.
corner? Why does nobody notice that? And it made me a strange kid. I won't lie. I was the weirdo in class. I was the oddball. I was the one who would get in fights, who'd get expelled, who'd get detention all the time because I'd be acting out because it's just all one long 7-year-long cry for help. I didn't even know it was a cry for help. I just knew something was wrong, but I didn't know how to tell anybody because I didn't know what to explain. And then I started. The biggest issue was when I started working because they started me on the meds when I was 19. The first shrink I had, she was med happy, just like the one you were talking about. Pills. And antipsychotics, they're heavy duty.
Yeah.
It's very similar to antidepressants, and I had a shrink who described it best once as antipsychotics, antidepressants, the bipolar medications, anti-anxiety. It's like feeling the world with gloves on. You can touch it, but you're not feeling it with your actual hands. It's like a barrier between it.
Yeah.
You know it's there, but you don't have that good grip. It could slip at any time, and it makes it tough. It dulls your emotions. Interpersonal interaction kind of goes out the window because you're not really there. I can relate to sleeping 16 hours a day because I did the same. It was like you take the meds in the morning, and I'd have to go to work, and I'd miss coming back from lunch like 4 out of 5 days because I'd sleep in my car and be asleep for 2 hours. And next thing I know, I'm coming back in, I'm getting bitched at, I'm getting written up, and it's like, I don't know if I can do this. And then there were times where I'd stop taking my meds. And this is back when I was on a slew of antipsychotics. I was on lithium. I was on a whole bunch of things. They didn't know what else to do. The shrink was just like, she was a nice lady. She was real nice, but she didn't know how to handle it. She was a child psychiatrist. I was adult. She eventually referred me to a better doctor, and he's much more helpful. But for the longest time, it was just medication upon medication, and it's tough. Your world is just, it's like walking around with blinders on.
Yeah.
Because the meds fog you up. Like, jobs were hard to hold. I tried going to OCC. That was a miserable failure.
I went there.
I made it like a semester and then I dropped out.
I barely made the semester, but I was able to finish like the 2 classes I had or whatever.
Ironically enough, the one class I finished with a good grade was psychology.
Oh, there you
I
go.
remember the day I was in there and they were doing abnormal psychology for a period, and she asked, "Does anybody know anything about schizophrenia?" And I'm like, kids in the room look over and I look at the teacher, I'm just deadpan. I have it. What do you want to know?
Yeah.
And then everybody in the room turns and looks at me. I'm like, shit, I shouldn't have said that. Now I'm getting anxious. And it's like, whatever.
It's like they've all seen The Beautiful Mind.
Yes.
Beautiful Mind, and they're just...
It's a good movie. John Forbes Nash, his real life is more interesting than the movie.
Yeah.
I've read the biography about him. It's a very interesting man. He fought a very good fight. What impressed me the most is he was there for his son, because his son is schizophrenic as well. And for all the weird shit he went through in his life, and the bad stuff, like cheating on his wife, having affairs, he never gave up on his son, because he knew he was the one person who could help him the most. And that's how I am about my daughter. She's a little one. She's only 2 years old, but if she ever develops in the future, I know I will be there for her every second, even if I physically feel like I can't.
That's definitely important, and that's something I think that, not to shit on other generations, but our generation is going to be able to do more than perhaps our baby boomer parents.
Yeah.
Because they were in a time, and I don't really like saying this because I feel like I'm kind of being mean to my parents, but their time, they didn't really acknowledge mental illness. It was just like, it didn't exist almost.
Like, if
You know what I
somebody got
mean?
hospitalized, it was like, oh, he's gone.
Yeah.
Or it's swept right under the rug.
So now with us, a lot of our generation suffering from depression. I mean, like, huge number.
Right.
It's most people at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that we're going to be, if anyone's going to be able to make headway with this, it's going to be us.
Yeah. Like, our kids are going to be lucky in that aspect.
Yeah.
Their parents are going to be there for them every step of the way. If they have something that falls in the category of mental illness, we'll be there for them. Because we've all been through it and we're not afraid to talk about it, which is one of the better things of our generation. We're not afraid to talk about shit like that. We don't just push it out of our minds, push it out of the picture and say like, oh, he's a little strange, or, we only see him on the weekends. No, that's not how it should be. So many people from our parents' generations ended up committing suicide because the things they needed help with, people didn't want to help them with. Or if they did end up in an asylum, they got a damn ice pick lobotomy, and that was it.
Yeah.
Anytime I see an article about lobotomies, I share them, because if I was a schizophrenic in the 70s, I would have had one by now. And that terrifies me. That was how we treated people who wanted to kill themselves, who felt depressed, who had bipolar.
Isn't that like barbaric?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, who came up with this? That's like, I was like, who thinks this is a good idea?
You take a chunk out of somebody's brain and turn them into a vegetable.
Yeah, I don't know whoever thought that was a good idea. That's not a good idea.
It's literally it falls under something in the Constitution that's called cruel and unusual punishment.
I mean, hey, whatever. We have technology now, so I guess we're not doing things like that.
Yeah, but we're better off now. But it's just impressive that there was like a 30-year span where people thought that was okay.
Yeah.
Or that it was okay to lock people in a padded cell in a straight bag for days on end. Why? How do you think that's going to help anybody?
Yeah.
Just talk to them. Ask them the questions, the pertinent questions. Like, what's going on in your head?
Yeah.
How are you thinking today? You thinking about hurting yourself? And why?
Yeah.
Just talk it out with me, brother. That's all you got to do. And it helps more than you realize, from a coworker to a friend to a professional. When it comes to suicide especially, people don't realize that if someone has it in their mind to truly want to do themselves in, it's very hard to stop them, because once it's locked into their head, they will try and try and try again until they're given hope. Hope is the one thing that a lot of people who are suicidal lose sight of, or is taken from them. Is another thing I've seen. It's taken from them. People take it away from them, and that hurts. That's painful for me to see. I had a friend, another experience of mine was not but 2 years ago, right 6 months before me. A friend of mine, Martez, a good kid. He was a boxer, an up-and-coming boxer. He was doing real good. Hadn't lost a fight yet. He was undefeated. Had 3 kids. And he was getting married. Shot himself in the chest. No suicide note, no nothing. His girlfriend knew he had some issues, but she didn't talk to him about it. She was afraid. She was afraid it would make him angry. It wouldn't have made him angry. It probably would have lightened the load on his shoulders, and my friend would still be here today. And all his other friends were just like, why did he do this? What an idiot. What an asshole. You're going to hell. I'm like, no. No, somebody went through that kind of pain that they were willing to put a 45 caliber bullet, like mark your chest and put a 45 caliber bullet into it. If you're religious, I don't believe people like that go to hell. I believe they go to somewhere nicer because they've already been through hell. If you're not religious, they're at peace. But I don't like hearing people say you're going to hell, they're a shitty person, because they're not. They had a lot going on, and you weren't there to help them. You didn't try. That bothers me to know that. See people who don't want to give help.
Yeah, it's tough too, because I know people in my life who we're friends, but they don't agree with not necessarily my work here, but just suicide in general. They say things like, it's stupid, that's like, why would you ever do that? Why would you leave your family, your kids? That's selfish, that's blah, blah, blah. And it's like, as someone who's been through it and still has to wake up and go through it every day, it's like, I don't wish it on anybody. You can't even describe it. Like, as much as I can say into the camera, like, it is awful. Like, it is the worst experience I've ever had to deal with. Like, feeling that way is just nothing compares.
People say they hit rock bottom, but that is absolute rock bottom. The minute you're sitting, the very moment you decide and say, all right, I'm going to pull the trigger. Yeah. It's the absolute worst.
And it's not that, at least for me, when I was right there, like ready, like good to go, like 5 minutes prior,
Yeah.
I wanted, like, I would be holding my phone, like, someone just say something. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, that's something, I think it happens to everybody. You're just kind of like, somebody,
It's just like a shot in the dark.
Yeah.
Somebody call me, text me,
Yeah.
yell from the other room or the apartment over, say something. Even if it's not directly at you, just say something. And if you don't get that somehow, that's when a person goes through with it. Because it's to put it in, the oddest of terms, it's like Russian roulette. If a person's going to keep doing it, eventually they are going to get to the barrel that has the chamber that has the round in it.
Yeah.
They'll keep trying until they get to it. And that's what that feeling is. You're sitting there, whether you're doing it with a rope, whether you're doing it with a knife, or whatever it is, you're sitting there thinking to yourself, like you said, 5 minutes prior to up to the moment of, just like, please somebody be there. Somebody be there. Anybody.
Yeah.
I got lucky. My brother showed up and started yelling up at the apartment from downstairs. And I heard his voice, and I went out on the porch, and I'm like, Bob, just leave. And this thing, you'll say things like this in that moment. I was like, Bob, leave me alone. I'm ready. But on the inside, it's a huge sigh of relief to know that somebody's there.
Yeah.
You might. It's a weird thing to describe. Like you said, you can't describe it. You're telling everybody you're going through with it, but on the inside, it's like you're melting. It's like you're sitting there thinking to yourself, "Oh my God, thank God, thank somebody, thank anybody that somebody is here." Because I was honestly, I was not going to be here in the next 5 minutes.
Yeah, and luckily for me, that was the very first time. So we're talking 3 years ago. I happened to be texting my friend most of that night because I was upset. So, I was just trying to talk to someone like, hey, this is what's happening. I was with my girlfriend at the time, of course, that played a large part in it. And I was just texting, saying things were going bad, blah, blah, blah. And I don't remember what I said because, like, with you can read over those things that you said. Like, I can't look, anything I've written, because I write a lot, like, in a journal or in text, those times that were happening, I can't bring myself to read it because it's painful for me to have to remember with the things I was saying. Like, I look at it and say that it could not have been me. You know what I mean? I'm scared for that to be me, but it was.
So going forward, you think, I don't want to be that again. I don't want those feelings in my head again. I want those emotions coming through me again.
I don't remember what I said. I just remember saying something like, it must have pertained to suicide, like I'm ready to die or something. Like, you know what I mean? It must have been something like that because he just like showed up. It was like, come on, we're gonna go for a drive.
It was the right red flag to raise.
Exactly. And some people, like, I don't know if we have to, going forward, I don't know if we have to, like, train people. Like, me and my friend discussed maybe this should be a class, not necessarily like suicide, but just mental illness in general, how
Yeah.
to talk to people. You know,
Yeah.
why don't they teach this in school rather than some of the dumb shit we learn?
Yeah.
And I don't know what it takes, but that guy at that moment noticed a red flag and was like, something is wrong. And he showed up, and now I'm still here because of it. And I credit him with that. I told him multiple times, I would look at him and say, you know, you saved my life 100%. He hates that. He's like, no, you know, because people don't want to be that hero. You know what I mean? But it was, and until I die, like, I'll credit him with that. Like, he saved my life 100%. I believe that.
Yeah.
So.
My brother showing up saved my life because I was, by that point in time, that was about 10 minutes after I'd finished a whole bottle of Motrin. I wasn't feeling anything, so I was thinking my next step was just to jump off the porch.
Yeah.
Just to hit the nail on the head, put the nail in the coffin. And then I hear my brother's voice, and I'm like, I was saying all this shit to him, but at the same time on the inside, I'm like, thank you, Bobby. You got me here. Because if you hadn't gotten here, I would have made this permanent. It wouldn't have been.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have been. It wouldn't have been an attempt. It would have been a success. And I've read through the text a number of times that I had sent to my ex, who was my fiance at the time, my ex now, and I read through it a number of times, and I can feel what you're saying. I don't read it anymore, but for about a year, I read it over and over again, just to see it and be like, to know you can get to such a low.
Yeah.
That you can say those words, that you can put that pain on paper onto something electronic or anything, to know that you can get that pain out, and know that you can tell people goodbye. It's a strange feeling to see it in retrospect, and to look it over and be like, God, this could happen again. What can I do to prevent this?
Yeah. Yeah. It's that scary.
It is.
That's how I am like now. Like, because the last time I went through it, it was a year ago this month was the last time. So it's one of those things where it's like, I'm dead afraid of the next time.
Yes.
You know what I mean? I'm just like, what can I do now that I'm like clear of mind?
That it doesn't happen. That it doesn't happen in the future. One of the, I'm trying to remember what it was. It was a guy I talked to in the hospital when I was in there. I was shooting pool with him, and he looked at me. He was one of the orderlies, and I was shooting pool in the back room of 4B at Upstate. And I was talking to him. He was asking me the questions that a shrink never asked. He was asking me like, pretty much, what got you to want to take down a whole bottle? Was it sadness? Was it anger? Was it regret? And it was the way he's asking so pointed, so it hit so hard that I couldn't answer him. But I spent the entire night, the next day, the next 2 days after that, thinking about them, and it gave me back something. I can't remember what he said. It's in the back of my mind somewhere. It'll probably come to me at 3 a.m. But it was what he said was what cemented something in my head. It had to relate to my little girl, and it was pretty much, if you do this again, what will the person who probably loves you the most think? The little girl who you created, the little girl who just wants to be held by her daddy. What is she going to think if you're not there because you took her away? You took yourself away from her. And I think to myself, I can rationalize, I can say, well, I have a disease that I can't control. I have emotional issues that I can't control. I have anger issues I can't control. But at the same token, it's almost lame to say it, it's almost simplifying it, but it helps me a lot in the times where I've thought about it in the past after that happened. Mm-hmm. I control the nerve that would pull the trigger down. I can tell that nerve no at the last second. I can put her face in my mind. I can see her smile. And the one other time after that where I really truly contemplated it, I saw her it was on Easter, and I saw her out the window. Her mom had brought her over to the family for a visit. I couldn't make it down because I was just a wreck. I was going to try and do myself in. And I saw her out the window getting put in the car, and I had a knife to my throat. I was ready to go. And I was just like, I saw her, and she was just smiling. Little 6-month-old girl with a smile on her face. And I could see it out the window, and I thought to myself, you're my hope. That's what you are. You're what I was looking for. Not what I needed, but what I was looking for. Your hope encapsulated in human form. And the most important thing I found that people don't try to give people who are suicidal, who are depressed, is hope. Because you can hold on to a lot of things that will slip through your hands, but if you hold on to hope, it's a lot easier. Because you can't destroy hope fully. You can always hold on to it in some form. But there's a better something. There's a better anything. It could be a better job. It could be a better car. It could be a better day tomorrow. It's the way I came to look at it that helps me get through the day. It helps me ignore all the shit I see on a daily basis that my mind creates for me through dopamine and serotonin going wrong. Because every day is hallucinations for me. Every day is voices in my head. Literally right in my ear. Or the guy over in the corner who's not even real, who's right there. And I've just learned to do this to him and be like, sorry buddy, you're not going to get to me anymore.
Yeah.
And I never thought it would come from another human being. I always thought it would come from within. Some people are lucky. It does come from within. And those are the people I respect the most.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I am happy I have my daughter and she gave me my hope. But the people who find it inside themselves to say no to it in the future after they've tried it before, I have the most respect for them because that is coming from them and them alone.
Those are warriors right there.
That's what they are. That's exactly what they are. They can hold up in the face of all the darkness the world has to throw at them, and they can say, I won't do it. I've tried it, I won't do it anymore.
You know what's interesting to me, and I'd be like interested to get your opinion on this because I've never talked to someone who is as similar to me as you are thus far with what happened. I was out skating as I do. I roller skate and dance and things like that.
Nice.
And this was probably only a month and a half, 2 months ago maybe. And one of the normal people that I skate with comes up to me. I was sitting off. I had taken a break and I was just kind of watching people skate. And I guess I probably looked a little depressed because I was just kind of, I don't smile a lot, so it's just kind of my look.
Yeah, the murder face.
Yeah, and she came over and sat next to me. She's like, what's wrong? I'm like, no, I was just thinking. I was just chilling. I'm taking a break. And we just kind of got to talking about what I do and everything. I told her I'm starting this nonprofit organization for suicide awareness. And she thought it was awesome, as most people do.
Yes.
And we were talking about it, I told her about it, and then she kind of walked away, because she just got there, she was putting her skates on. And then I get up, and I'm going to hop on the rink, and she stands in front of me and stops me, and she looks me in the eye, she's short too, so I'm looking way down. I'm looking over, and she's looking up, and short people do, you know how look right up in your eyes?
Yeah,
she looked angry, and I was like, what's wrong? And she just looks at me, and she goes, and she kind of leans closer, and she's like, if you believe that this is what you want to do with your life, from this point on, and this is your destiny to do this, she's like, and you don't do it, or you commit suicide or something like that, she's like, I hold you responsible for everyone else who doesn't. And I'm like, at that time I was like, I didn't know whether to take it as a bad thing or a good thing, because on one hand, it's you shouldn't be going around telling people you're responsible if other people do this thing, but at the same time, I feel like I needed to hear that.
Yeah.
Because I went through it. And I watch YouTube and I watch motivational stuff, and Tom Bilyeu, he does, I forget what his show is called exactly, but he said something that kind of resonated with me when she said that. He explained that because this person went through an experience, because they lived through that, they now have the knowledge and experience to help other people live through it. Because they did it and they succeeded. Rather than taking their life, they succeeded in fighting it back. Yeah. And now they have that knowledge to help other people. And that came into my head when she said that. And it kind of resonated, with her saying, you're responsible. It's because I was given the ability, I didn't die. I lived through it.
Yeah.
And I was given the ability to live through it. So now I feel like if I don't help people, I am kind of guilty, right?
A little bit, yeah.
I have this experience. Yeah. So I should impart it on other people so that they can go through it. So, what do you think about that? Do you think it was kind of a bad thing to say to someone, or do you think...
It sounds rough at first,
yeah.
But if you look into it, if you look past the sandpaper grit of that statement,
yeah,
it's a very poignant thing to say.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you've been through it, you can help people.
Mm-hmm.
If you've been through it, you can show people the better way. If you've been through it, you lift them up. It's like the kick in the ass you probably needed.
Yeah.
You're you know what? You got a good point.
Yeah.
I can help these people.
Mm-hmm.
And since the dawn of time, people have given up on people who want to die. They always have, and there's been the few and far between who stuck up for them and said, "Don't do it, man," or "Don't do it, girl," because it might seem shitty now, it might seem shitty tomorrow, it might seem shitty in a year, but if you just fight through it, there'll be that little shred of light that you've been looking for that'll make you smile again. And one smile can last you for a month. 2 smiles can last you for a lifetime. And a laugh will get you through for an eternity. And sometimes that's all you need. And when you've been to rock bottom, when you've been to the pit, and you can come back from it, you can show people how to climb out of it. You can show people how to pull themselves out of it. And there will be the ones you'll lose along the way, the ones who are just, their mind was already made up years ago for all we know. And they've just been fighting a good fight, but it's too much. But there are those who are on the fence. Those are the ones you can save. Those are the ones you can help. Those are the ones you can break free of the bonds that have them torn up on the inside. Those are the ones that you will help the most. And that's why I think what she said, that girl, it's, like I said, that's some 40 grit sandpaper that she came at you with. But it was, that punches through that shit, and it hits you. It's a good point.
I mean, I think I felt like I needed to hear it exactly like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If someone put it like sugarcoated it, it wouldn't have
the same effect.
Because I literally felt like she hit me.
Yeah.
Like I had to stand there for a second. I had to absorb.
Yeah,
and even like on my way home, I was just like, for the next like week, I was just like, she actually said that to me. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
you're sitting there in the middle of the night, just like waking up. Damn.
Yeah.
She said that.
But I got like emboldened. Like I was like, I'm the person who needs to save these people. You know what I mean? Like I felt that.
Yeah.
And it made me like just do more work on this immediately. I was like, I gotta do this. I gotta do all this work, and I got things to do, and I gotta help these people, you know. So, I mean, I needed to hear it at the time. I'm sure it's a weird way to say it. My friend's like, someone shouldn't have said that to you. I'm like, yeah, but honestly, like, I needed to hear that.
Yeah.
At that time, that's what I needed to hear.
Damn straight. Sometimes you need the bluntness to hit you hard and knock you back, and when your eyes come back into focus, it's the focus you need. It's the focus where you can see what you got to do.
So, like, I have another question for you since.
Lay it on me.
It's like I've never talked to someone who has been through what I've been through, so it's like I need to hear someone else's opinion because I only have my own. And people who are on the outside, I was on Fremont Street, which is like our popular. It's a street. It's not the Strip, Las Vegas Strip. It's downtown, but it's like old Vegas. Like there's still casinos, and it's a walking strip of performers, and there's stages, and it's fun. And every hour, they call like, I think it's like the largest TV in the Western Hemisphere, or something like that. It's like it goes the whole street, like it's a whole TV.
Damn.
And every hour they play like a little show on it.
All right.
And it started, and one of my a guy on the board of directors was with me. We were just out. He was drinking. Of course, I don't drink, but we were just hanging out. And it started up, and we kind of stopped, as everyone does, and like look up, and then you hear like those first few notes of a Linkin Park song, and I was like, oh man, and like you can almost feel it in the air, like the tension of people, like just hearing a Linkin Park song now, it's just something there. Like we're all feeling the same heartbeat at that exact moment, and we all got quiet and we kind of watched, and like Chester was singing, and the whole screen was like his face, and like I was trying not to cry, you know what I mean? It was hard, and my buddy looked at me and he's like, I don't get it. Like he didn't directly suffer from suicide, but he went through like some child abuse and stuff like that, so that's why he wanted to help. And he's like, you know, Christian, I don't get it. He's like, this guy had like 7 kids, he had everything, a great music career, he changed the lives of so many people, he had all these things, and he was like, I just don't understand why. And he looks at me and he's like, this is why I need you to be able to explain to people who are not going to understand why people do this. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I didn't know what to say. Like, from your opinion, like, why, like Chester or some of these other celebrities, how can we understand or tell people why this happens, why they go through with it? I mean, it's hard to explain the feelings you get with suicide. I don't, like, I'm lost. I don't know what to do.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
It's a very tough thing to explain. From my view, from my experience, and from going through it myself and seeing friends do it, it's because it's this world, especially for men especially, we're taught from a young age to bottle our emotions,
Mhm.
bottle them right up tight, and cork it, not let anything
You're
out.
very right about that.
And it's not a good thing to do. From one person to being in a relationship to with your family to a professional, if you hide shit, it's gonna fester. It turns gangrenous, and it's like it's the best way to put it is like a thought going gangrenous. And when you get gangrene, if it gets bad enough, you die. And if a thought gets gangrenous in your mind bad enough, it festers. It gets sickly, it gets nasty, it gets infected in your head, and it spreads to the rest of your mind. That's when you get the idea in your head that, you know what, I gotta go through with this. Because you've let that emotion that you've held on to for years, or even just a few days, you've let it sit there and go bad. And once it goes bad, it's hard to let it go. It's hard to give it up. That feeling of I need to go, or I'm worthless, or I'm shit, or I'm not a good person. It's hard to give up on it. And when you have that in your head, and you don't have any outlet to get it out, that's when the urge to pull the trigger or to open a vein can come to fruition. You have no outlet. You have no way to tell people because nobody wants to hear it sometimes, and that hurts. Because if you have pain inside you, man, you got to get that shit out, or it goes bad inside you. And then next thing you know, you're sitting in a dark room with a revolver and you're pulling the trigger till the bullet goes through your head. And then yes, you have 7 kids without a father, or a mother without a son, or a brother without a brother, or a sister without a brother, or an uncle without a nephew. Because sometimes people just don't want to let you talk. They tell you be strong, they tell you be tough, but they don't want to hear it. They don't want to help you through it. And then that thought inside your head rots. And just like anything that gets rotten, it gets infected, it spreads to every part of you. And then you die. But if it's a thought, it spreads to your mind. Your mind is the hardest thing to control sometimes. And when it's just full of thoughts that are screaming, you're shit, you're garbage, you're crap, you're not worth it, you're not worth this person's time, you're not worth that job, then you really do. You'll tie that noose tight and you'll kick over the chair. And then good people are drawn to do unreasonable things because they had no way to get help, because no one wanted to hear them out. And that's a painful thing to say sometimes. A lot of people don't want to admit they've closed people off by not listening to them, but it is the truth. A lot of people just don't want to listen. And I found one of the easiest things to prevent suicide is just being there to listen. Even if they don't make any sense, if they ramble, just let them get it off their chest, whoever this man or woman or child is. If they don't get it off their chest, it will do just that. It will fester, and next thing you know, they're gone. They're in a body bag, and they're in a coffin, or in an urn. And then it's like, why'd they do it? You know damn well why they did it. Nobody tried to help. Not even help. Nobody tried to listen. That's my view on that. Always has been.
It's just interesting because it's like you look at these people, these celebrities, and they have arguably everything.
Yeah.
You know, and that just goes to show you that this is not like you're not immune. No one's immune to this. You
God.
can't buy your way out of this.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's that tough of a fight.
Yeah.
That people like that, and we're talking Linkin Park, who, I mean, that was middle school for me. You know what I mean? Like, that was a lot of people's middle school, and all of us our age. So it's hard for us to grow up on that and then see that happen.
Yeah.
You know, it's someone that we might have looked up to, and I mean, that changed our lives at that point, and now they're gone.
It really did.
Because they were losing a fight that society and culture isn't helping us with right now, you know?
Yeah. And there's, like you said, you can't buy your way out of it. There's a quote from another musician, good old Bob Marley, his last words, money can't buy life. If you really have it set in your mind that you want to die, having all the money in the world is not going to stop you from doing that. It's not going to prevent you from painting a wall red. It won't. It's invisible money. It's physical paper, but it's not enough to give you peace of mind. It can't buy you that. It can never buy you that. It can never buy you freedom from pain. It can buy you nice shit, but that's all it can do.
So, kind of segueing from that, even though we just said money can't fix things, if you had all the money and resources in the world right now, everything. Like anything available to you, you can call upon and it's there. And the world was like, we're giving this problem to you. You got to fix this. Depression and suicide. Like this is on you. Whatever you can do, you have all of our money and all of our resources. What's the first thing you do? And what can we do? If it was on you to just fix this problem, what would be the first order of business?
Oh, Lordy, that's quite a question.
Yeah.
You know, in all honesty, the thing that has helped me the most, more than any other human, are my pets, my dogs. Because I don't know, there's something about a dog or a catty. That dog over there, my dog and my parents, every dog I've ever had, they reminded me of one thing: that there is such a thing as unconditional love in this world. The dog looks at you, unless you beat it, even if you do beat it, it's still going to look at you with eyes that aren't, why are you beating me? It's, why don't you still love me? That's what they're looking at you with. Give me all the money in the world, I'd buy everybody whatever pet they ever wanted, just so they had some kind of animal there. An animal that might not be able to speak, it might not be able to articulate its thoughts. When it sees you're down, it's going to be right there for you. Every dog I've ever had has been that way. They've been right there for me, unconditionally. No hatred in their eyes, no judgment, no closed mind. They're just like, hey, why are you doing this? What's wrong, man? Pet me. It's all good. I'll make you feel better. It's a strange thing to say. It's the oddest thing.
It's interesting because I haven't had an answer like that before.
It's probably a strange answer to that question, but honestly, that's why I love dogs. That's why I love cats. The animals that we bred over the past 15,000 years to be our companions. That's what they are. They're our companions because they're the only creatures in this world that do just that, love unconditionally. When you're having a bad day, when you're having a shit day, when you're having the worst day, like, there have been times when I felt like doing it and I just looked at my dog and my dog looked at me and those eyes are like, hey, what's wrong, man? You alright? They don't have to say it. They don't have to put it into words. They just look at you in a way that's like, what can I do to make you feel better? I'm going to make that smile come back because I miss that smile. I miss that laugh. You want to go for a walk? You want to throw a ball around? You want to chase a ball? You want to sniff my ass and make you laugh? I'll do whatever you got to do. I know it's a strange answer, but I've honestly always thought it was just the perfect answer for me. A pet, not just a pet, because they're companions. It's really what they are. It's the factor of unconditional love. These animals live to love us, to remind us that there is love in this world. When all else seems dark, your dog's going to love you.
You know, I mean, the whole reason I do this is to hear people's ideas. So I don't think there's any weird answers, like, because I started this, and that's what I'm trying to figure out. I'm like, how are we fixing this?
Yeah.
I'm just trying to converse with people and be like, what are we doing? Because everyone has different opinions, everyone experiences it differently. So I'm trying to get people from all different backgrounds and just be like, what can we do?
What would you do? Yeah.
Because, I mean, how else are we going to figure this out?
Yeah.
Like, they can throw...
Put our heads together and think.
They can throw all the statistics they want on the news. Like, that's one thing that made me start this specifically, having conversations, is like, one of the other nonprofits that I know emailed me and said, you know, we can all put statistics out, but no one's actually going to the community and being like, what are we doing?
Yeah, they're not asking us. They're not asking the people on the street who've
Yeah.
been there, done that.
Yeah, so I'm just
They're
like...
asking the professionals. They're pulling questions out of a textbook.
Yeah, these people,
What's that gonna get you?
you know, of course they have high intelligence, they have masters, doctorates in psychology, like, they can do all the tests they want, that's fine. Clearly they haven't gotten anywhere,
Yeah.
because we don't have a cure. I mean, we're probably never going to have a cure, but,
Well, at least
but
it was
the
the help.
numbers are going up, right?
Yeah.
They're not going down, so I'm just trying to figure out, like, let's just go talk to some real people
Yeah.
and just see what's going on, what their problem is, what their views are.
The guy on the street who's put the gun to his head thinks would make it so that he doesn't do that again.
Yeah.
That's the best way to do it. Because if you don't, it's the difference between a textbook and the real thing. A textbook will tell you all the facts, figures, and statistics. But the real thing, the experience, will tell you what people think should be done.
Yeah.
Because it's the ones who've been through it who know how to stop it, who know how to fight it, who know how to get through it every day. When every day you wake up just like, fuck, I don't want to get out of bed because this world is too shitty.
Yeah.
And yet they do. They get out of bed. We get out of bed, we go to work, we do our job, we come home, we play a video game, we love our wife, we pet our dog, we do whatever we gotta do, but we get through it. Even though we've been at the point where we just wanted to put a bullet in one side and out the other.
So maybe we should be talking to people like us, because like the psych people, I mean, they're great. Don't get me wrong. They've helped us through all this until this point, and they're great people, of course. But like, it's one of those things where, I want to look at them and say, "You haven't lived it. I was there.
Yeah.
I can tell you every detail of being there, how I felt, everything. I don't want to bring it up, but I can tell you. I can bring it back up. Like, I'm qualified to help people. Like, I was there. I have things to say. I have experiences to tell these people to help them. Like, no offense, like, you weren't there, but I was. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's the same difference as like asking a combat veteran versus some 14-year-old kid who plays a video
Call
game.
of Duty. Yeah.
Plays Call of Duty all day.
Yeah.
It's like they've been through it, and most of them are going to tell you we shouldn't be doing it because it's horrible. It fucks you up. The 14-year-old who plays the video games is like, oh man, this shit is great. Look at this tank.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Yeah.
Death in all its forms is one of the hardest things humans have to face.
Yeah.
From that cause man to man or man to himself.
And when we say suicide and depression, stuff like that, and I don't often think about it like this, but the other day I just kind of thought about it. I was just thinking about suicide in general, and I was like death is bad on its own, right? Killing and death is bad, but then you think about suicide, and you actually just stop to consider what it is. And I don't think people will do that. We're talking someone is so distraught with the one life they get, the one chance that they want to end it. Just consider that for a moment.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Someone is to such a low
that they want to take it all away.
That they just want to be gone.
Yeah.
How can you bring someone to that?
And this is coming from a species that has spent its entire existence being scared of what happens after it.
Yeah.
And there are people who get so low that they're willing to find out on their own because they can't stand the world that they're in, the life that they have.
And we're
scary.
We're humans. We're a civilization that, when faced with overwhelming negative emotions like wars and natural disasters, faced with overwhelming odds like that, we always band together and are able to come out on top. But there's people among us that are like, I can't come out on top of this.
Yeah, I can't do this. I can't go another day.
Yeah.
And then the next day they're gone. And that is a scary thing. So we can do it as a group, but we can't do it for the individual. And it's heartbreaking to know that happens.
Yeah.
You've been there, I've been there. I have friends who've done it, who've succeeded, and that just breaks my heart. It's like the one question I had after my friend Martez did it was, how could I have been there for him more?
Yeah.
That's what went through my mind. Is what could I have done to have made it so that he didn't do this?
Yeah.
Because he needed help, and if I'd known, if I just had an inkling, I would have been there for that man in a heartbeat.
And it's hard to throw around fault anywhere. You can't say it's your fault for not seeing it because it's hard to see, and you can't see it's their fault for not saying anything because, again, in this culture,
it's hard to talk about.
What can we do here? You know what I mean?
Sometimes people talk about it, get shit on it. It's not right, and it's the blame game has no presence in this. It shouldn't, because it's just the worst thing that can happen in anybody's life and everybody around them's life. And we don't talk about it in the right ways. We talk about it in a light that puts it as they're shitty people that gave up. It's like, were you going through what they went through?
Yeah.
Did you walk through their shoes?
Yeah.
Did you see what they saw? No, you weren't there. You weren't in their eyes. You weren't with their memories. You weren't with their pain. If you got put in their brain for 20 minutes, how are you to know you wouldn't want to do the same?
Yeah. I have an interesting example about this, actually, about the culture. I had a boss recently, last year this time, of course, around the time where it happened the third time. And I can't believe someone said this to me. I told him everything that happened. It was the day of. And I told him everything I went through and how I was feeling, and that this was a problem with me, suicide and all that, and that I had gone through it before. And he just kind of we're in the store that I worked in, and he just kind of comes close to me, and he whispers, he's like, don't tell anyone else about this, because they might use it against you. You don't want to mention things like this to other people in your life. And that's one of the points where I realized, I was like, what?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Excuse me?
Yeah.
And that was just before, forming this nonprofit and all that. I was like, you can't just...
That's no bueno.
That's not helping it. You can't just say
anybody.
that. like not talk to anyone about it. So you want me to just I'll be dead next week. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, it's,
here's the bottle, give me the cork.
yeah.
Nobody's gonna know about this.
You want to
until I'm
hand me
ready
the
to do it
gun?
again.
Like, Jesus, dude.
yeah, that's
like,
not right. That's not right in the slightest.
And that's perfect example. That's the culture. That's it.
Yeah.
That's exactly it right now.
Mhm.
This is what we go through.
It's just not right.
This is why we're scared to say anything, because we got people like that saying you can't say that to people. You know, it was like almost like he was letting me know like this is risking your job because of this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And that is just the most wrong thing there is.
And then you lose your job, and that's just because suicide's never usually like one thing. It's never usually like, oh my god, I lost my job, I'm gonna kill myself.
Yeah,
It's
no,
usually like I lost my
it's-
job, I can't pay these bills, my girlfriend broke up with me, my parents sick. You know what I mean? It's usually like all the things.
Yeah, it's a compounded issue.
Yeah.
It's never just one thing. It's a buildup. It's
Mhm.
always a buildup. It might be slow. It might take years and years,
Mhm.
but eventually it builds up to the point where somebody finally hits that point, and then they're gonna try it.
Yeah, and that's just a perfect example of it, of just trying to reach out. I was reaching out, and he said, "Don't say it to anyone else."
It's like, what?
It just baffled me. Yeah, like what's wrong with you? You know, like I don't know.
I don't get people like that. I never will. They'll always be around, but
Yeah. And it wasn't a baby boomer. If it was a baby boomer, I'd be like, I kind of expect you to say that. But it was someone who was middle-aged, probably like 10 years on me at the most, you know. So it was just like, it just amazed me to hear that
yeah,
from that person. You know, and I don't fault them. Maybe they grew up in an environment where, you know, they didn't necessarily have to deal with that, or maybe their parents raised them to see things like that as a weakness, and that may be a whole other different issue. But just the fact that there's people out there that'll say things like that, or that I always tell them, like, I always describe it as people who, if they don't acknowledge the problem, they don't have to believe it exists.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
That is exactly
There's a
what
lot
it
of
is.
people like that, where if you say like depression, some people will say like, you're just sad. It's like, I'm like, depression's a thing. It's like in the DSM-5, like it's in the
Yeah.
book, and they're like, no, that's not a real thing. I'm like, I can't believe that you're just gonna tell me that it's not real. There's people like that. If they don't acknowledge it, if they don't acknowledge that a family member is upset or depressed, then they don't have to. The weight's not on them.
yeah. They don't
You
have
know.
to. They don't have to take on the word.
Yeah.
It's sometimes what people are trying to avoid. They want to be so happy-go-lucky that they try not to take on
Mhm.
the word. And then you let people fall by the wayside, and then depression turns into suicide. Or
Mhm.
bipolar turns into suicide. And then where are you? You're sitting there with your hands to your eyes, just like, oh my God, why did they do this?
Yeah.
Because 5 months ago you told them they were just sad.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like, and I always I love this show. I like 13 Reasons Why. There was a lot of like debate over when it came out whether it's glorifying suicide. I don't know if you watched it.
I've seen a little bit of it.
You know what it
I
is,
read
though.
through the plot synopsis too because I wanted to know where it went after
Yeah.
the episode I saw last.
You know what it is, so you know
Yeah.
of it, and these are the same people who, just like in that show, she left the tapes, and the people who listened to it, I don't want to say they were at fault, but they were part of the reason.
Yeah.
And then they were like realizing it's like, yeah, exactly that. You
Yeah.
were the reason why. Like you were part of it.
Yeah.
You didn't help when you had the chance to help.
Yeah.
And now it's on you. Now you have to live with that. And I hate that. If one of my friends committed suicide, like one of my close friends, like that I talk to, like on a daily basis, committed suicide, I would live with that the rest of my life.
Yeah.
What did I not do? Forever. And you never know.
Yeah. You don't know if the guilt will hit you.
Mm.
And it'll hit you and it'll leave you confused and sad and angry. And that'll stay with you for the rest of your life. It'll never quite leave. You might get over it and package it and bottle it away and put it somewhere in the back of your mind. But it'll always be there. Come at you when you least expect it. Like a little memory will pop up from seeing something. A little nostalgia will come up, but then it'll be tinged with that darkness, that guilt. And you don't need to go through that. If we have an opportunity to help, just help.
Yeah.
Help. For God's sakes, help.
People still filled in with their ego and pride and
Yeah.
themselves, which I get it. Like you have your own life, you have your own problems, but like we're humans, dude. Just help each other.
Yeah.
It ain't hard.
Like the golden rules in a lot of different religions. It's in a lot of different creeds. Whatever you want to call it. The easiest way it boils down to is all that, the fancy schmancy these and thous. But the golden rule is what I look at as how everybody should treat anything when it comes to helping another person.
Yeah.
Life sucks enough as it is.
Mhm.
Just don't be dicks to each other along the way. It won't
Yeah.
be as bad.
Yeah.
That's the golden rule game.
So, as we're wrapping up here, the last question I always ask is if you had anything to say to people who might be watching this now or in the future, like anything. It doesn't have to be people who are suffering. It could just be people in general, just normal populace. If you had an idea that you wanted to say, get out there, what would it be?
It would be that things can get really, really dark. Things can get so dark, it seems like the light's never going to come back on. It can get to the shittiest point possible. It can get to the darkest, deepest, nastiest point your life is ever going to get. But, like I said earlier, hope is the one thing you got to hold on to. Hope for a better anything. Just, you don't have to hope for all your problems to be fixed, for all the bad to go away. Just hope that in the next 5 minutes, when you're thinking about the bad shit, that you see somebody smile or laugh, that you hear a joke on the radio, you see something on TV that makes you chuckle, your dog comes up to you and pets you, or you just get that text you need. Hold on to that hope, and it won't be as bad. It won't be so dark. You won't be so afraid. Hope is the one thing that has gotten me through. Hope is the one thing that I will never abandon, because after all, there's always hope. There always is, there always will be. Hope for a better anything. It doesn't have to be tomorrow, it doesn't have to be the next day, just something. Hope for something. It'll keep you from wanting to take yourself away from everybody and leave people behind and see what's on the other side, because there's a time and a place for that, but don't do it too early. That's what I got.
All right. Well, Tim, what's up? I guess that's our cue.
Right on, dude.
It's been a pleasure.
Yes, it has.